JBNN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, Denham Town man abducted from home, found dead on Spanish Town Road. A Denham Town man, who reportedly had been abducted from home, was found dead with gunshot wounds in an open lot of Spanish Town Road in Kingston on Thursday morning. The deceased has been identified as 45-year-old Fitzroy Davidson, otherwise called Peter, an employee of a cement company. Reports are that on Wednesday night, Davidson was at home on Little King Street in Denham Town when gunmen invaded the house and abducted him. A search for Davidson was then launched by family members. Davidson's father was distraught after the discovery of his son's body. He described the deceased as hardworking and someone who would avoid trouble.
He's very manageable, hardworking, work at cement factory. During 3 children. Come up them big picnic them right now. I get grand picnic, 3 grand picnic. Yeah. You know, like problem, just can work to house. Cook, washing everything like everything. You know, make no problem, you know. Anything at all you have to do as a father and mother. Live good to do. Yes.
You think me that go left you, Peter? What are you going left me? Peter, me think me that go left you? What are you going left me, Peter?
Paralegal accused of fleecing millions in a property transaction. A paralegal is now behind bars after being charged by the fraud squad on Tuesday for fraudulent conversion and engaging in a transaction that involves criminal property. The accused is 50-year-old Georgia Messam White, a paralegal clerk of Village Green, St. Anne. It is alleged that between September 2018 and April 2019, Messam White received over $27 million from the complainant to purchase a property, but failed to turn over the funds to the contracted attorney. The police were alerted, an investigation was launched, and she was arrested. She is scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on February 16. 2 in hospital after Discovery Bay crash. 2 people have been hospitalized following a crash in Discovery Bay, St. Anne on Thursday morning. The collision took place sometime after 9 a.m. as the car in which they were traveling collided with a bus on the Discovery Bay Main Road. One individual, who claimed to be an eyewitness driving behind the ill-fated car, said the vehicle appeared to be out of control before the crash. He theorized that the wet road may have played a role in the collision. The Jamaica Fire Brigade was called to the scene, after which the injured individuals were rushed to hospital. Fisherman stabbed to death at Falco Beach. A fisherman was stabbed to death following an alleged dispute over sugarcane in Falco District, Clarendon on Wednesday, the police say. Dead is 53-year-old O'Neill Greenswood, also known as Pongola, of said community. It is reported that about 9:30 p.m., the deceased and another man were at a sports bar along Falco Beach when they got into a quarrel. The deceased, who plants sugarcane, was approached by his alleged attacker, who presented $500 and requested some sugarcane. The police said the request was denied, and the man subsequently used a knife to stab Greenswood in the left side of his neck before fleeing the scene on foot. Greenswood then attempted to chase his alleged attacker, but collapsed along the roadway some 30 feet from the bar. The police were summoned, and Greenswood was found face down in his own blood. The police say the community is upset over the incident and are appealing to the alleged attacker to turn himself in as soon as possible to prevent a possible act of reprisal. The parish of Clarendon has recorded 11 murders up to January 29. Electrician gunned down in Little London, Westmoreland. An electrician was shot dead at a shop on Broughton Road in Little London, Westmoreland on Wednesday night. The deceased has been identified as 67-year-old Luton Brown, otherwise called Ducky Eye, of Unhold Hope district in the parish. Reports from the police on that Brown was outside a shop shortly after 8 p.m. when he was approached by an unknown assailant who opened gunfire, hitting him several times. The police were alerted, and on their arrival, Brown was found lying on his back with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his upper body. He was transported to the Savlamar Public General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Investigations are ongoing. Noel Maitland's murder case postponed until June. Supreme Court Justice Vinnie Graham Allen this morning blasted police investigators assigned to the case for murder-accused Constable Noel Maitland after prosecutors disclosed that they received no documents only yesterday, causing the plain case management hearing to be delayed until June. Graham Allen expressed disgust at the development, arguing that she has constantly instructed that whenever a date for a plain case management hearing is set, outstanding documents must be given to prosecutors in due time to ensure disclosure of the material before the hearing. The judge said that this would allow defense attorneys to examine the material and have further discussions with Maitland. When it is done in this way, what it means is that the process leading up to the trial would not be fair, and so disclosure must be made at an appropriate time. It cannot be made on the eve of a case management hearing, Graham Allen charged. I am tired of making this statement in court. It cannot happen or not to happen. I am disgusted, she added. She noted that an extension had been granted and an order made for outstanding statements to be submitted by November 11, 2022. In the meantime, attorneys representing Maitland signaled their intention to apply for a bail. Defense lawyer Chadwick Barry noted that Maitland had communicated some challenges. Maitland, who is charged with the murder of his girlfriend, Donnelly Donaldson, and preventing the lawful burial of a corpse, was denied bail when he appeared in the Home Circuit Court on October 13. Allen at that time denied the application on the basis that the court was satisfied that there are substantial grounds to believe that Maitland would abscond and that he may interfere with witnesses. On Thursday, she noted that the renewed bail application must be accompanied by a sworn affidavit from Maitland. It was remanded until June 2, when the plain case management hearing is expected to begin. She ordered that all outstanding materials, reports and items are to be submitted and disclosed on or before May 26. Foreigners detained in Mandeville for immigration violations. 13 Indians were this morning arrested following a joint operation involving the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency PICA and the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch CTOC in Manchester. According to police, the operation was conducted between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. in Rosedale, Mandeville, in pursuit of persons in breach of immigration and anti-trafficking regulations. The 13 Indians were discovered in an apartment and taken into custody for overstaying without proper authority. Commanding officer for the Manchester Police, Superintendent Shane McCullough, said investigations so far reveal no link to human trafficking. Meanwhile, 2 persons of interest and 6 of their associates were arrested in the Manchester Southern community of Cross Keys in connection with murder, shooting and robberies committed in Clarendon. About 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., the police, acting on intelligence, went into the area and arrested the individuals. The police investigations are continuing. Policeman charging cooking oil theft granted $750,000 bail. Detective Corporal Maurice Whittingham, who is charged in connection with the multi-million-dollar robbery of a delivery truck carrying cooking oil, who suffered a stroke since being in custody, was offered bail on humanitarian grounds when he appeared in court on Tuesday. The bail application was made by Attorney at Law Lindell Wellesley before Parish Judge Nicole Keller in the St. Catherine Parish Court. As part of his bail, Whittingham, who was attached to the National Intelligence Bureau, was ordered to report to the Olympic Gardens Police Station on Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays and to surrender his travel documents. A curfew order was also imposed, and the policeman was also ordered not to interfere with witnesses in the case. He is to return to court on March 10. Allegations are that on Saturday, December 17, 2022, Whittingham and his co-accused, Michael Daly, who was reportedly dressed in police paraphernalia, stopped a delivery truck along the Spanish-Town bypass in St. Catherine. The truck, which is owned by Separate Limited, was laden with cooking oil valued at more than $3 million. It is alleged that Whittingham approached the driver of the truck and asked about his data entry record and took him to a Honda motor car. The truck, along with the sideman, was then driven to an unknown location. The truck was later located in the community of Thetford, which is located near Old Harbour. A subsequent report was made and an investigation was launched, which resulted in the arrest of Whittingham and Daly. Further investigation led to them being charged with robbery with aggravation and kidnapping. Attorneys will fight to be excluded from anti-money laundering reporting regime. The United Kingdom Privy Council today ruled that the section of the Proceeds of Crime Act (POCA), which places a duty on attorneys to report suspicious activities in relation to their clients to the relevant authority, is not unconstitutional. Lawyers will face sanctions if they fail to report suspicious transactions. The Jamaican Bar Association had taken the issue to the Constitutional Court, which ruled that the act was lawful. The Court of Appeal declared certain aspects of the regime invalid, and the Attorney General and the General Legal Counsel to the issue to the Privy Council, which today restored the ruling of the Constitutional Court. In an immediate reaction, Attorney Bert Samuels described the ruling as troubling. What is troubling is the reliance on internationally accepted policing over a Charter of Rights and the economic value of the policing of our clients to the state, he said. In 2013, Jamaica extended its anti-money laundering regime to include attorneys carrying out certain duties, such as purchasing and selling businesses or real estate, or creating companies or trusts. This was in order to address national security concerns and comply with international standards in respect of the prevention of money laundering and terrorist financing. The Jamaican Bar Association contended that the extended regime was unconstitutional on a number of grounds, but the Judicial Committee concluded that the regime does not contravene constitutional rights. It was accepted by the parties and the courts below that the anti-money laundering regime involves some interference with attorney-client confidentiality. However, the board agreed with the Jamaican Supreme Court that the interference is demonstrably justified. There can be no doubt that combating money laundering is of first importance to Jamaica. The extension of the regime to attorneys is rationally connected to that objective and is not arbitrary, it stated in its ruling. The Privy Council also ruled that the General Legal Counsel's powers of inspection do not interfere with legal professional privilege and that the regime does not infringe the constitutional right to liberty. It also said the regime does not infringe the constitutional right to protection from search of property. The power of the General Legal Counsel to conduct inspections does not confer a coercive power of search and seizure. In the absence of a warrant or court order, the General Legal Counsel would need an attorney's consent to enter their office or take documents, the Privy Council stated. Chief Justice questions whether Jason Brown is city puss. Chief Justice Brian Sykes on Wednesday continued the summation of the evidence in the One Dung Gang trial before the Supreme Court. Over the last 2 weeks, Justice Sykes has been going through the evidence submitted by the Director of Public Prosecutions against reputed gang leader Andre Blackman Bryan and his co-accused. The question as to whether defendant Jason Brown was identified by the prosecution's witnesses as a member of the One Dung Gang is yet to be answered. Chief Justice Sykes, who is reviewing the secretly recorded conversations between alleged members of the gang, questioned whether the other evidence in the case is sufficient to say that City Puss is in fact Jason Brown, and whether the former Don, who claimed he spoke with the defendant for hours, had identified him. Early in the trial, the former Don testified that he recorded the conversations on 3 cellular phones. Justice Sykes said if the former Don's evidence is true, it would show prior knowledge of the voice of City Puss, which would then meet the legal standard of voice identification. During the secretly recorded conversations, alleged members of the gang were heard discussing numerous topics, including a time of famine, brighter days, disloyal members, and murder plots. In one of the transcripts that was reviewed yesterday, a voice, said to be that of City Puss, was heard lamenting that there was a need to recruit youngsters to outfit the criminal network. Justice Sykes said even if the former Don's evidence is accepted, the final question is whether the identification of the voice as Jason Brown is accurate. A retired police officer who visited Jason Brown at a penal institution and spoke with him for an extended period of time said Brown had answered to the name City Puss during that interaction. The judge, while noting that Brown did not counter the witness's claim against him, said in his silence, the case would be a classic burden and standard of proof assessment. In the absence of a sworn or unsworn statement, Justice Sykes questioned whether the prosecution has proven the case against Brown beyond reasonable doubt. But he said the nature of the recorded conversation between the witness, Brown, and the sole female defendant, Stephanie Cole Christie, would not be possible if he was not a member of the gang. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.